Welcome inside the Glory Road podcast. Billy Beebe back with you as all the excitement right now surrounding the NBA draft, which will take place this upcoming Wednesday. The draft is going to be an interesting marker coming up due to the fact that the season is just going to keep going. It's just going to keep jumping. And as the bubble ended, players are going to be forced to jump right back into it in December. Joining me today, Dan Galinsky of King James Gospel. We're both doing some writing for King James Gospel at fansided.com. So go ahead and check that out for all your Cavs, NBA. Really, I mean, you can get anything through Fansided, but King James Gospel focusing on the Cavs. Dan, thanks for jumping on to talk about what is, I don't know, how would you even describe this draft?
Well, there's definitely not Zion type guys, not probably going to be a, I guess, transcendent player, but there's still a lot of talent to be had and plenty of depth at the lead guard and plenty of bigs. So it should still be interesting, I would think.
Yeah, so Dan joins me today. We're going to do a mock draft, go pick by pick. You've seen tons of them, but I'd like to think the both of us have, with the articles we produced, kind of gotten a little more in-depth look at some guys. Dan, I think guys like, Devin Vassell and Isaac Okoro, those are guys that we've had a little bit more research on and taken a better look into. So I think we can give a better spot look and kind of see where those guys will go. So we're going to go pick by pick. I'm going to take the first overall pick. The more mock drafts I look at, I think LaMelo's risen. So if you asked me a year ago, it seemed like Wiseman was no doubt the number one overall pick for whoever got him. I don't think even Minnesota would have skipped, but his college situation was just horrible. Yeah. Whatever blame you want to shift there on him, on Memphis, on the NCAA, whatever. So I think he's just fallen out of it. He didn't necessarily play enough to impress. I really liked him I think he played 2 games. I really liked him in the 2 games, but that's not enough to be the number one overall pick. So LaMelo, who everybody, at least big-time basketball fans know, he rises to the top after basically childhood stardom for about 6 or 7 years now. He rises to the top, but his flaws are out there. I mean, it's no secret the issues that he has. And then the fact that he's a point guard, Russell's a point guard, and that, how does that intermix? And then the third guy, I think the option is obviously Anthony Edwards, who you watch some tape and you see James Harden and you see Dwayne Wade, and then you watch other tape and you see Dion Waiters. So, I mean, that's a serious concern. And that's the draft we're dealing with, I'd say. Just some opening thoughts. You hear it's like 2013, and it's like that Cavs draft where they take Anthony Bennett, and I was like, I don't really want to believe that. I'd like to think it has more talent, but looking at the board, I could just see us going 5 years from now and thinking, how could you take LaMelo Ball, who when you already had Russell, like that kind of dynamic, I think is going to pop up in the next couple of years, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they'll eventually have to you would take a decision between the two, but I guess that they're shopping Jarrett Culver could open up more minutes for LaMelo and his development. But I understand where I would think he probably has as high of a ceiling as anybody in the draft, just with his handle, ability to create space. I get why people are drawn to him, but yeah, for them, it's tough to see how that kind of meshes, but we'll see.
All right, so let's do it. First overall pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves. What would be my selection? I am going to go with Anthony Edwards at number 1 overall. Dan, I don't think they want to take the ball out of D'Angelo Russell's hands that much, and I think that's really LaMelo's bread and butter is he has to have it. And I know that's kind of a generic take a lot of people are going to talk about is how did 2 people handle the ball. Well, Russell's a great off-ball player still. I think he's still a good shooter and runs around and moves well without the ball. However, I think you made a big dedication to him. I think you made a big dedication to the idea that Cat wants him as the point guard. So I think you bring Edwards in. It's simple. At that point, you can play Russell, Edwards, Culver. I mean, I don't know who at power forward, and then Towns. So, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they're just building a little more subtly there, and then they're trying to go upside with Edwards more than Ball, who I think I mean, I just don't think they need that show. I don't buy the hype as much that there's a problem, and if you bring LaMelo in, you bring LeVar. I don't buy into all that, but I still think that's a lot of trouble with them. I like Edwards in a lot of ways. I think he brings some serious athleticism. Obviously, he needs to get his shooting right. That is his problem, but I also think he'll fit well with those two guys, and I think that's the bigger thing is you're not going to change Russell and Towns and for LaMelo and try and make them all work together. It's Edwards, bring him in, and he'll try and fit in better with Russell and Towns.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from there. You want me to just take away with number 2 then?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll just go with Wiseman to the Dubs. I just think it's pretty clear that they need a guy to kind of handle their interior, be that dunker role guy, just kind of athlete in the middle. That I mean, I think other places, I think for Wiseman could end up being a star. I'm not really the biggest fan. I think he trusts his shot far too often, and he's not, frankly, that great of a shooter. So
I liked that too. I just thought Wiseman is, for them, he's just a way, way better JaVale McGee. He'll just do the same thing. Maybe even, if he gets time to just relax and get comfortable, he can have a bigger role in 2 years and 3 years. But, I know if LeBron was still here and we were still building, I would not want them taking James Wiseman. I wouldn't want to deal with that own way. So Dan takes James Wiseman at number 2. So far, we got Anthony Edwards to the Timberwolves, James Wiseman to the Golden State Warriors. Maybe Edwards was a shocker a little bit, but I think most people have Wiseman going to the Dubs at number 2. There was some debate, Dan, as to is it Wiseman or do they want to start rebuilding that. I mean, imagine instead of Sean Livingston, you're bringing a really good Anthony Edwards off the bench or something like that. I think a lot of people kind of shot that idea around. Let's jump to number 3 with the Charlotte Hornets, who actually rose in the draft this year. They lucked out a little bit. I think they finally deserved to get some lottery luck, so I'm happy for them to get to number 3. A lot of names floating around at number 3, but due to recent trade rumors and some contracts they have and some things floating around here, I'm going to take for the Charlotte Hornets Onyeka Okongwu out of USC, the 6'9" big man, a little bit of Bam Adebayo comparison, a little bit of Tristan Thompson comparison. Same thing as Wiseman, a vertical guy, hustles down the floor, big-time shot blocker, a little bit of an interior scorer, nothing heavy. He did well in college with 16 points a game. I'm not sure he's going to replicate that right away. And, of course, you're getting a really good defender. I can't confirm it, but I like the idea of them getting Russell Westbrook. I like the idea of them finally getting a stable lottery pick. I think he's a better pick than a Frank Kaminsky of the past, of a Cody Zeller of the past for them. And I still like a couple of the pieces they have. And I don't think jamming LaMelo in there is going to help anybody. So I think Okongwu is a nice pick for them at number 3. Your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, they shelled out big money to Bismack Biyombo. Nobody really understood that at all. I guess based off one series against the Cavs, maybe that's what it was for him. I never really got that one, but MJ is MJ. So the way he values free agents and kind of no names, it's a little odd. But Okongwu is a guy that I would think at least has a really high floor. I see there wasn't a whole lot of volume on it, but he showed some spot up potential. He's a guy that can kind of be that role guy extraordinaire. You know what you're getting from him night to night. I think he's a double-double guy from day one. Really can make plays off both shoulders inside. I think, and at least the spot up potential is there. I think at least this extended off season, I understand that there's going to be a quick turnaround for the off season kind of ramp up for teams. But I think for rookies, I think in a way it's good because they'll have been able to work on all parts of their game. And I think he'll end up being a better shooter than a lot of people think, I think, in a couple of years.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be like, Okongwu? Like what is that name? And they'll be confused. And obviously, I don't think many people are watching USC basketball this year, Dan. But in a draft like this, if you can get a guy even 3/4 or close to a Bam Adebayo or a Tristan Thompson, or I mean, if you could lock down a Taj Gibson like player in this draft, I think a lot of fan bases should really think about how nice that is, so they don't end up with, I don't know, Anthony Bennett, or I think that's the big name that sticks out from that draft. But
we've had our misses over the years, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, so I think if you got Okongwu, you got to be pretty happy with that. With that, I'll leave it to you on the next pick here.
All right. Well, number 4, I think it's not exactly the most, I guess, status quo pick, but there have been some rumors, conversation that the Bulls, or at least LaMelo, could have a chance of going there. So I'll go with him here for Chicago, number 4. I just think for them, I think he's a bit, I understand he's got defensive limitations right now, but I think in time he can be somewhat competent defensively, at least against ones, which is probably what he'll play the majority of the time. But they need kind of that lead playmaker guy. He's got a lot of size, but potential is there to be a star. I understand. The LeVar stuff, I think I'm kind of with you there. I think it's a little bit overblown. I guess maybe on the Warriors, for example, it might be more of an issue because the playing time would be so limited. But I think in this situation, he's your guy. They need more of that lead playmaker type. And I wouldn't worry about fit too much for them. I think Kobe White is honestly better suited in a 6-man role anyway, going forward. So I think for Chicago, LaMelo can just make so many guys better around him. I think he really could unlock Markkanen. Levine will do what he does, but I think LaMelo in time could end up being their franchise centerpiece type.
Good call with that one. It looks like Dan has the Bulls taking Lonzo's brother, which is how I define him right now, because Lonzo, it seems like, has the standard right now for what LaMelo needs to match up to. Let's jump to 5. This is the one everybody's interested in, obviously, in the Northeast Ohio area. The Cavaliers at 5 again. They land in that spot for the second straight year. Last year, Dan, I mean, we can jump into some in-depth Cavs thoughts here, because I think that's what a lot of this audience is interested in. The Garland pick was highly questionable, I think, for a lot of people. But before I make my pick, Garland really felt like that was something they felt like they didn't want to miss out on a really, really good player. They couldn't believe almost couldn't believe he was still there.
Yeah, for them, I mean, I understood where they were coming from. And I don't know, he wasn't himself. I guess kind of came into the season not where he wanted to be physically. And then at the beginning of camp also had a foot issue. So I give him, I'm not going to be a complete homer. I'm not going to give him, let's say he played really well last year, because that's just false. But played well, I thought, kind of given the situation. I thought in the back half of the year, had struggled early on, and defensively, I mean, the Cavs were not thinking that in that pick, but it's
the Cavs are thinking that in this pick either. So
yeah, they put defense on the back burner, it seems like, forever. So it's nothing new. But I like Garland still. I would have rather had Cam Reddish at that pick last year. That was kind of the guy I was looking at. But with Garland, you see there's glimpses of the pull-up potential. He's got a really nice handle. The vision is there. He struggled physically, which a lot of young guards do anyhow. So
he's small. He's really small.
Yeah, his stature also is small. I mean, I just think for having Colin Sexton with him, I think from like a work ethic standpoint, a guy that, I guess, struggled more physically in year one, I think year two battled in that way. So I think Garland, I still like the upside with him. I just think for them, they need to get defensive pieces around those two to at least give it a chance.
All right, Dan. We'll close with some Cavs thoughts later. So we'll jump to that. All right, this is a tough one. I'd say three names that circle for me right now are Denny Advija or Advia, Obi Toppin, who obviously was the best player in college basketball, or Isaac Okoro, who I've grown to really, really like and has an emphasis on defense, has a solid scoring shade in him, and then, has some nice comparisons. I think it's a really, really tough call. Most mock drafts right now have Denny Avija going there. I not impressed by his stats. I think with Maccabi Tel Aviv, he had a 3-point year and a 4-point year. And then the Ringer lists him at 7 points a game, 4 rebounds a game. So I'm not sure where the translation gets lost there, but either way, not huge stats, right? Not anything you'd like out of the number 5. I mean, even Cam Reddish would have had better stats last year for Duke on a 3-man offense, basically, where he's the third guy.
Yeah.
Toppin, the best player in basketball, Amari Stoudemire comparisons, here's and there's, but slow, bad at defense. I wrote recently for King James Gospel, the last couple picks that were 22 years old were not good. I think it's like Thomas Robinson and Chris Dunn. And then before that, I think it's Dame. So if you want to go that route, go ahead. But, it is concerning with that. And then Okoro, looking at mocks and even with the research I've done, it just seems like that's too early to take him. What are your thoughts on the Cavs pick here?
I think if he's on the board, you got to go with Okoro. It doesn't seem like they are as high on him as they are on Obi and Denny, but I just like the the physical attributes for him. I just think the 1 through 4 switchability jumps out. I guess it's going to sound kind of, a little corny, but him specifically, like the competitor he is, he's a guy that you can put on the other team's best scorer, best wing scorer at least. He can guard primary playmakers, like really a really good point of attack defender, and kind of an underrated post player as well. And the shot has a ways to go. I don't buy into him saying it's a borderline B plus A. That's a bunch of BS probably, but I think there's a lot of offensive upside that at Auburn they didn't really allow him to handle in the pick and roll enough to, kind of boost his playmaking splits. But I like him for the Cavs more than other guys, honestly.
All right, that's a good call. I like Okoro a lot. I got really into him after doing research on him. I like the fit. I think he starts right away. Again, I think he could give, like you said, other teams' best players at least trouble for the night. He's lengthy, he's quick. I think he has a basketball love. If you watch his interviews with Mike Schmitz and other guys on the internet, it just seems like he likes basketball. He just watches it and has a love for it. A lot of mocks still have us taking Advija. Dan, here's my concern there. I don't like the term playmaker when you don't score a lot of points.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from there. It's just he got more of, quote unquote playmaking, more of a playmaking role in the IBSL, which the league is different. But the only thing is, in EuroLeague, the way they kind of do like platoon subs. It's kind of like how Devin Vassell. It's a different story there, but it's a good league. It's one of the better leagues in the world. So it's a little bit misleading. I look at the IBSL numbers more that are kind of more indicative of what he could be earlier on. But with him, the alarming thing is the free throw hit rate. I think it was like 56% across the board, which is not good. That's concerning in itself. But
yeah, the Ringer has him at 52% free throw percentage.
Yeah, I think that's like cumulative across leagues. Yeah, but that one concerns me more than I think. At least I think everybody kind of looks at the obvious kind of low-hanging fruit, like the Jetty comparisons, but he's more gifted on ball at this stage. Had just a better athlete, and I think defensively, he's not going to be a lockdown guy ever, but I just think he's really good off ball. I think that's an area where Jetty really struggles, and not the most laterally agile guy, but has much more lateral quickness than Jetty, and is pretty sturdy, pretty strong. Runs at about 220, 6'9". I think the key allure with him is he can play the 3 and 4 in key stretches for you. So that's why I like him. I don't love him, but I like him.
Well, Jetty struggles with everything, so I won't get into that too much. I'm not a big Osmond guy, but I'll make the pick already so we can move on. We'll get back to the Cavs later. With the 5th pick in the NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Isaac Okoro. I think the Cavs reach on this one. A lot of guys are going to say they're going to reach. I think a couple mock drafts have him going, 10, 11, past that. He can really fall down a little bit, but I like him for the Cavs. I hope the Cavs – I think you have more in-depth on – there have been rumors that they like him and they've talked to him, but who do you think is the guy that the Cavs have their eye on, in your opinion?
Well, it's not going to probably be too popular among Cavs fans, but I think it's Obi more or less. I haven't looked at the betting odds currently as of yesterday, but I think him and Denny, at least as of a few days ago, have the highest odds. But I think Jason Lloyd reported yesterday that I think the Cavs, they're kind of split on those 3, but it seems like the 2 are kind of narrowed down to Denny and Obi, and Kobe Altman, for what it's worth, really especially likes Obi Toppin. So I think it's probably going to be Obi Toppin, and I guess they think he's kind of that long-term Kevin Love replacement type, and I guess I get it from that standpoint, but I don't really love a guy that realistically his first extension he could be damn near 27. So I don't really love it, but that seems to be what I would probably bet on at this point.
Cavs fans, give me some. I made the right move, right, Dan? I go Okoro.
I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people love him, and he has a relationship with Colin Sexton also.
Okay.
They're both from the Atlanta area, Metro Atlanta. So I would personally love Okoro here. I get where you're coming from. Could be a tad high for him, but in this draft to get a guy like Isaac Okoro, it could be, when you have 1 pick, it could be a lot worse.
Let's look at Altman for a second here, Dan. The pressure's on. I have a lot of people ask me, why did they trade for Drummond? Why the Drummond trade? Why this? And I said, the guy wants to win so badly. If something gets him 6 extra wins, I think he does it. And that was the Drummond trade. So he said, yeah, Drummond gets me 6 extra wins. Boom. Easy. Do it. I think he would have given up more picks to get Drummond because it felt like it would have gotten him more wins and protect his job. So when you see them take Toppin, Toppin's the best player. He feels like Toppin benefits to immediate wins. Don't be surprised. That's my thought. I think Altman feels the heat. I think if he feels like Obi Toppin minutes are better than Jordan Bell minutes, I think he'll do it, no doubt.
Yeah, I definitely. It's a fair take. He projects as a guy that probably can score inside and out. I question the shooting a little bit. He had some really bad misses at Dayton, and it was kind of a tailor-made offensive system for him. He had so many wide open looks, but he's a really polished scorer inside, and I like the guy, but I don't love him going to the Cavs. I think it's not really a great landing spot for him, but I get where you're coming from on the Kobe Altman stuff.
All right, enough on the Cavs. We'll lay off the Homer stuff for a minute. Dan, you're headed to Hot Atlanta, the Hawks, who I think they have the same pressure that they cannot end up at 6 again next year. A couple names swirling around here. The Ringer, who I'm a big fan of, so I work off a lot of their stuff. I like their stuff. I think
Yeah.
they do a great job with the draft. They have Patrick Williams at 6. I think that's obnoxious. Patrick Williams has jumped way too far up boards, in my opinion. But Dan, what do you want to do with the 6th pick?
I like him. That's who I would go with. I'll say they get Pat Williams. I think he's. I don't. It's hard to get a complete read on him. The shot is a question mark, I think, a little bit, but on spot ups, he was pretty solid. And I just think in a different situation, he like at Florida State. I think he played like 22 minutes a game. Wasn't a starter, and that's just how they a lot of the time are with freshmen there. Like Devin Vassell didn't play very much his first year, took a leap the second year.
Right.
I like that he's brings 3-4 versatility. The key with the Hawks, their defenses. I mean, they're kind of in the same realm as the Cavs. They are kind of devoid of plus defenders right now. I think he's a guy that can come in from day one and be able to guard 3s and 4s pretty well. He's a good help side rotator, is a real rim protector, has an NBA body at 6'8", 225. So I think he's kind of an underrated. We've seen shades of good playmaking from him too. I think he's for a young player. I think he's the youngest player in the draft. I think the upside is high with him. I think he's got real stretch floor potential, and I think is kind of like a roller with Trae Young, especially could be really good for them. Good passer out of that.
Yeah, I like the PJ Tucker comparison on that. I think if that's his peak, again, Atlanta would be really happy to get a PJ Tucker in this draft. I think we should note, Dan, this is a trade spot.
Oh yeah.
I think we said Boston is looking into it. They want to either trade up. We've looked at New Orleans has talked with Atlanta, and we know there's a relationship there with them trading.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is definitely a spot where if somebody likes someone and the Hawks, I don't know. Names like Gordon Hayward for Atlanta are great. I really think just some stability over there would be terrific. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Boston or some other teams that if they like someone, they won't hesitate to move up. I'll give you another example. If LaMelo keeps dropping, which I don't see him getting past 5. Even the Cavs, I think, might consider him.
Mm-hmm.
If he's at 6, a team like New York, a team like Detroit, whatever, Phoenix, if they think LaMelo would really help that offense, I could see them moving up. I think that's the biggest kind of look at pick number 6. Dan goes with Patrick Williams for the Atlanta Hawks, who are really looking to take a jump forward next year. So the Pistons at 7. They're looking point guard, definitely. I think they're looking to dish Derrick Rose out of there and kind of restart building things through the point guard. Notably, Obi Toppin is still on the board. Tyrese Halliburton and Killian Hayes are kind of the examples. I don't like Killian Hayes. I'm not impressed by stats, footage, the takes, the breakdowns of him. You know, his upside, his downside, his story. I just don't like it. It seems like if you listen to everything around, everything's been tailored for him. His overseas work, you know, he didn't go to college, so obviously in high school everything's tailored for you. You know, he's been to some events where he's won MVP where the talent just wasn't there. I like Halliburton for Detroit. I'll take Tyrese Halliburton from Iowa State. One of the smartest players in the draft, a point guard and kind of guard in general, I think. Could play the two a little bit. Playmaker. When you hear playmaker and you watch this guy, there's actual playmaking there. His shot, his passing, his defense, it's all there. And that's what I love most. Is it's not playmaking, you know, without scoring and without defense.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a guy that I think he's kind of an instant impact guy. Really good out of the pick and roll. Got a nice handle. That shot is a wonky shot. I don't really trust that that's going to be too transferable, at least off the bounce, which a lot of lead guards, like that's key for them. You kind of need that at that position, but he's a diligent worker, really, really heady defender, and I mean, his wingspan allows him, even though he's skinny, to I think project as a plus defender against ones and twos, and makes things easier for those on the floor with him, and kind of I think would help Luke Kennard a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I have Detroit taking Tyrese Halliburton out of Iowa State. Dan, let's shoot it to you. You're headed to the Big Apple. A pressure pick for you for sure. Knicks fans want something great.
Well, I'm going to go – honestly, I like Killian Hayes a lot, so I'm going to go with him for the Knicks. This is a team that I think could definitely look to trade up, kind of as we were kind of alluding to with Atlanta trading out. I could see maybe the Knicks going there, or maybe with the Cavs, kind of a trade scenario in that way, or even Golden State. But I don't know if they have the assets to make that work. But again, I like Killian Hayes personally. I wouldn't want him for like the Cavs, but here I think the Knicks could benefit from a guy that's got NBA size already. I think he's like listed at like 6'5", 210. I think he's a guy they've kind of missed on. They have a plethora of point guards, but I think he's a guy that offensively there's a lot of talent there. I understand the situation was, I mean, the competition you read into it a little bit, but I like his, I guess, combo guard qualities. I think he can play off the ball a little bit, but just really athletic. At the one, can kind of get wherever he wants on the floor. The key is for him is being able to hit on those step backs at the next level. We'll have to see on that, but I like him a lot for the Knicks with his size, especially at the one.
All right, Dan goes with Killian Hayes. I believe it's France, right? He's overseas, yeah, in France.
Yeah, he played basically in the German league. Yeah, he's a Frenchman. Yeah.
All right, let's jump to number 9, Dan. Let's say with the top 10 picks for today. I think we've gone a little long here. So I'll do 9. You finish up at 10. Obi Toppin is definitely my pick for the Wizards. They'll get John Wall back. They'll have Bradley Beal. Obviously come back hot. I like Thomas Bryant a lot. I think Toppin is perfect for them to kind of insert and just benefit, not in a huge way, but to just be consistent and give them a little bit of explosiveness they might not have expected from another pick. I like it. I think he could be good for them. And, you know, maybe even if we're all wrong about his ceiling, he gives them a future more than what they thought they were going to get. So I'll go Obi Toppin at 9.
I'm going to go with Denny Avdia for Phoenix. I just think I don't know. I think they need guys that can help from in a variety of ways. Kind of looking at, I don't know if there's a lot of trade rumors kind of flirting or about Kelly Oubre. So I think it's Avdia can help them kind of as they kind of look to continue to build. I think he's a good guy for them if he's there.
All right, so we wrap up our top 10 here. I think just some notable picks that we made. Toppin falls a little bit. LaMelo to the Bulls, I think, is interesting. And then obviously the Cavs going with Okoro, who probably you would have taken at 10 if he was still there or within the next picks. Dan, some other names to watch. I like Sadiq Bey, you know, once we get into that 11 through 15 range. And then we've talked a lot about Devin Vassell. You know, he's a lengthy guy that, again, I'd consider him for the Cavs, but I like Okoro's scoring ability more. So, you know, these are all just wing players that might make a little bit of a difference. You know, who are some other names in the draft that we could see throughout the first round that could really shake a team up, or you'd be surprised they might drop but still be a really good player? My guy definitely is Tyrell Terry from Stanford. I think the Celtics have their eye on him, but a couple other guys that think they're contenders are going to be willing to move around the first round to get Tyrell Terry.
Yeah, he's a nice player. Really high-level shooter. I like him a lot, too. I think for Philly, that's a really good guy for them. But I like Kyra Lewis Jr. out of Bama. And Sadiq Bey, yeah, he's kind of one of those plug-and-play, you'd think, 3-and-D guys. I totally get that. I'm actually a big fan of Tyrese Maxey as well.
Sure.
Um, I think he's a guy that can be kind of like a Kobe White kind of microwave six man. There's a lot of guards that I like. It's just, yeah, again, for the Cavs, that's not really what you want.
All right, Dan, before we finish up with some Cavs thoughts, we'll do our what the hell happened names in the draft here, and then we'll do a little bit of look at trades. My first what the hell happened name is Nico Mannion out of Arizona, who has had some national notoriety. Now, Dan, I think I questioned it a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, is Nico Mannion falling that bad that I think he was 10 or 11? And then it was like, I think at that time I brought it up to you and it was like he was 15. And I was like, what's going on with Nico Mannion? And now might not see him in the first round.
Yeah, that one is weird. Was pretty highly touted out of high school. I thought he played well. I mean, wasn't really a guy that I guess jumped off the screen when you were watching, but that is, I'm with you. It's definitely kind of a shocker. People are saying like maybe he could go to the Lakers at their pick, but yeah, that is weird. That Zeke Naji is probably going to be the highest taken guy out of Arizona. I mean, between them and Josh Green, I would not have thought that.
I know,
It like earlier this year, it is weird. Honestly, I don't have an answer for you on that. So a little odd.
Let's jump to another name where I would say, what the hell happened? Cole Anthony out of UNC. I think, yes, he did get hurt, and UNC was not good this year especially compared to past years. But I mean, come on, almost 20 points a game. He lived up to what we thought he'd be a little bit in college. The injuries weren't good, but he didn't get a tournament. He was clearly the best player on that team. And now, Dan, it looks like he'll go to a contender anywhere from 20 to 30.
Yeah, I think he looked like a kind of, I mean, I don't know about day one starter type at the lead guard, but yeah, he's really talented, three level scorer. I think people might, it's understandable to question the defense. It's definitely not a strong suit of his game, but for young guards, most of them on that end are going to take a while to figure it out. So you kind of live with it. Mox, it seemed like maybe 4 or 5 months ago I seemed like a lot, even maybe going to the Knicks or I guess like the Wiz is kind of a long-term, maybe Brad Beal, John Wall kind of breakup kind of dude to replace there. But yeah, it's hard to say. I think for him, for his career, it's probably in a way good for him though. I think he'll go to probably a team with a winning culture, but maybe like a Miami is, for example, but I like Malachi Flynn for them. But yeah, it's hard to, it is weird. I mean, guards get hurt. It's not like an end all be all. It's not, it's hard to say on that though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I mean, those guys were anywhere from 5 to 15 even months ago, and now they're in the 20s or out of the first round. Last name on the what the hell happened list for me. Stay with me here, Dan. Aleksej Pokusevich.
Oh yeah, Alexei Pokusevsky. He's.
Oh man, you cleaned that up really nice. Good job.
He's kind of the guy in the draft that it seems like could be maybe even a team takes a swing at him in the lottery, or could be like it could be almost like mid-second round. It's just like a complete crapshoot. The efficiency wasn't great, but there's comparisons to KP, and then there's comparisons to guys that are like out of the league. So he's big, he's a passer, there's a lot of flashes of all around shooting, but it's a crapshoot as to where he could go. I could honestly see, like, I think John Hollinger maybe said he could be a guy that the Celtics could pick, and then he could play overseas for another year, basically to not have like a guaranteed salary on their books. But that one is, who knows? Definitely, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out with him now.
Yeah, Pokusevski, 7'3", 201. Might be the skinniest man I've ever seen in my life. Watching him, just the shot is awkward to say the least. Both down low and, he does attempt threes. I mean, he tries a little bit. I don't think he could ever dream of Porzingis's frame. I know he obviously has to get to the United States, get him on a different diet, get him, working out more, blah, 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 blah. But, man, that man was born with Sacramento Kings written across his forehead.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's where he's projected, and wouldn't surprise me. It just seems like that's where he's going to end up. And I like that idea that you talked about. Hollinger said him to the Celtics and stay over a year. Whatever it is, it is. The NBA draft team plays this Wednesday. Make sure you subscribe to the Glory Road podcast, Billy Beebe, on YouTube. Check it out on Spotify, all that, wherever you want to listen to your podcast. We're on it. Dan Galinsky, thanks for checking in. And guys, make sure to check out King James Gospel for all your draft needs. Dan, I know we're going to have a lot of good stuff before the draft and definitely after. I think we're going to have a ton of good stuff coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Absolutely. Dan, appreciate it. And everybody enjoy the NBA draft.